many years? I can't remember.
8, 9.
Like being married, you know. 8, 9 years together. We started off on just inland lake circuits in Ohio here. Kind of cut our teeth a little bit, learned about things. Inland lake circuits, small circuits like the LAWT, also fishing Lake Erie. But great place to start and kind of get some experience under you. Certainly, we don't know everything, but good place to start.
I'm Matt Davis. I live about an hour south of here, down close to Marion, Ohio. I'm from northeastern Ohio originally. Like Dan said, we started out actually fishing against a couple of guys right over here. Some of the first guys we met on the western Ohio walleye circuit about 8 years ago or so, and it's been a great learning process. We've met made a lot of good friends over the years, and so anybody that wants to learn about walleye fishing, sometimes it can be intimidating thinking about fishing a tournament, and you see guys like Travis and the Syberts and a lot of the guys in this room, and there's some really good fishermen, but there's also a ton of knowledge to be gained there, no matter what level it is. Guys, all fishermen love to talk, so you go up to them after the tournament, they'll tell you everything they did, what they caught them on, and it's just a great learning process. So that's one thing that we always try and point out, that don't be intimidated. Go up and just strike up a conversation. Most everybody, especially like in our club, the LAWT, I mean, I don't know anybody that fishes that isn't willing to help you at the end of the day if you got questions. So as far as what we're going to go over today, basically spinner fishing, probably, I would say arguably probably the most popular right now on Lake Erie, and without doubt has won more money on Lake Erie among other places the last 3, 4, 5 years than any other technique, probably hands down. And so we're gonna just hit some real basics. Our seminars, we want to keep them really informal. If you got a question, something doesn't make sense as we're going through it, throw your hand up, yell at us, throw something at us, get our attention, and just ask. We'll explain it right as we're going through it. And then when we get done, again, it's not, we don't have anything real long. Travis is going to join us up here for some question and answers. Everybody does things a little bit different, and so that's why we're going to have Travis jump up here, his style of fishing and ours, although we're doing the exact same thing, a little bit different, and the more opinions you can get, the more you're going to learn.
As far as spinner fishing, that's how we basically won the championship, by pulling spinners. Also, what was it, the Sandusky tournament, we pulled spinners pretty much.
Yep.
The other ones we pulled variety, cranks, spinners, dipsies, whatever took to win, or try to win. But it's a good technique to get in your arsenal and improve on it. Sure. Yes. First off, just bottom bouncer fishing. It's a great technique. A couple things about watching your screen. When you start watching your screen, you see fish laying down on the bottom, you think, okay, I'm going to give you a bouncer, put her down deep there, and we're going to try to get some. One, I'll give some credit to Doc Sampson. Anybody ever heard of that guy? He's got a great video out there about reading your sonar. Real quickly about one main thing I caught on that sonar. If you got your cone angle on your fish finder, let's say you're in 30 feet of water, so you're probably looking at a 10-foot depth or circle at the bottom in 30 feet of water. If you hang a string down straight underneath that boat, straight in that cone angle, let's say you mark a fish at 25 feet, okay? That's 25 feet if he's straight underneath you. Now, if that fish is off to the side of your cone angle, let's say 5 feet, 6 feet off to the side of that cone angle, that 25 feet, take that straight line and you move it like this, now that 25 feet becomes, let's say 22 feet, 20 feet, something like that. It's different because you're shooting off to the side. What that gets around to is bottom bouncer fishing. Don't just sit there, put your bouncer all the way down, tap bottom a couple of times and think, well, them fish are laying in the mud because it says that on my screen. Woo! That fish might not be laying right on the bottom just because of the scenario I just told you. So usually if we're running bouncers, we might run 2 of them. So keep one down at the bottom, crank one up a couple, 3 cranks, because you might not be seeing or knowing exactly what you're doing compared to your fish finder.
So this would be a pretty typical. If we're running bouncers and targeting deep fish, we're going to run. This is an 8.5 foot. You can see here it's got quite a bit of bend. For us, anyways, we would call this a pretty soft rod, and that would be pretty typical of what we would run. Mono line, 10-pound test, and I think this is probably a 1.5 or 2 ounce bottom bouncer. We typically, rule of thumb, go 1 ounce for every 10 foot. So if we're fishing 30 foot of water, we'll usually run 3 ounce bottom bouncers. Depending on current and speed, we might increase that, decrease that a little bit, but as a starting place, as a rule of thumb, if we're in 40 foot and we're wanting to fish somewhere 35 to 40 foot deep, then we'd run 4 ouncers. So pretty basic, pretty standard 2-hook spinner, and then the bottom bouncer. And the reason we want this soft rod is this rod's going to be right in the rod holder, so it's going to be a straight line from the end of the rod to the bouncer to the fish. There's no board, no extra line there, and so we want a fairly soft rod that when that fish comes up and grabs it, he's not going to feel a whole lot, because that rod really bends. You can see it really bows. It's what we call soft, and so if it was hard, a stiff rod, when he comes up and first grabs that, he's gonna all of a sudden he's gonna feel that weight, feel the boat pulling. On this one, he's gonna come up and suck that in, and that rod will load up tremendously before he really feels it. We think that's a huge advantage. Dan talked about running bottom bouncers for when the fish are deep, and that's the typical scenario that most people think. There are days though where a bottom bouncer, we'll run them off of boards, and we'll run them 20-foot leads in 35 foot of water. They swim, because of the design of them, they're going to swim different than a snap weight or an inline, and we're going to talk about both of those. And so there are days where we run bottom bouncers for suspended fish that maybe are only 8, 10, 12, 15 foot below the surface, but for whatever reason it's a different action, and so it's not just a deep structure or mud, trying to catch fish right off the corner of the boat. You can run them on boards to get them out away from the boat, just to change the action up. And so a lot of guys get in the mindset of it's just for deep water or just for right off the corners. It's something to keep in mind. There are times when they want the action of that weight compared to other presentations that we might use.
Just one thing, Matt, a couple of things here is, everybody experiment. What we're saying isn't gospel. We try and error, try different things. Things work out one day, they might not work the next. I think our biggest thing that put us over the top to win 2 titles this year was making decisions on the water, and luckily we made the right decisions this year. But that's what biggest thing is, kind of let the fish tell you what they want.